Heartbeat Podcast. And do we have a special one for you here today? We have Huntington Bank in with us today. Our episode will be named Homeownership Made Simple. How to prepare for buying a home. Let's get into it. All right. I have my guests today. How are you guys doing today? Mr. Eddie Hall and Joe Wallace.
Doing great.
Life is good.
Thanks for having us.
Right. Not a problem. Thank you for taking the time to come in and talk with me today. Can you both just explain your positions within Huntington and what you do?
Sure. My name is Joe Wallace, branch manager in one of our northern branches. So I have the privilege, of leading a team of retail bankers, helping clients with everything from consumer lending needs to small business needs and kind of everything in between. So I also lead the district with consumer lending as a segment leader, kind of sharing best practices and things of that nature, making sure we're all on board and functioning well in that space.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Mr. Hall?
And my name is Eddie Hall. I am a mortgage banker with Huntington Bank. I've been with Huntington for about 9 years. I transferred over to the mortgage side probably about 5 years ago, but been in finance for all my life, which is a long time, what you can tell from this gray beard. I've been doing it a long time, but I moved over because I definitely have a passion to help people buy houses and understand the importance of that. So Again, I definitely appreciate you having us here today. Definitely an important conversation, and I'm looking forward to it.
For sure. Well, here at Community Action of Greater Indianapolis, as we continue to honor our commitment on housing stability and financial empowerment, we want to give you relevant conversations that can benefit you right now. Not things that would have benefited you in the past, but things that will benefit you right now. And with the rising housing costs and many first-time buyers just unsure where to start, how to prepare for buying a home just seems like the perfect conversation to have with these guys here today. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, some of the common misconceptions about buying a home are you need perfect credit or you need a huge down payment. Why would you guys say that preparation can save money, time, and stress when trying to prepare on buying a home?
Sure. Well, as it pertains to the misconceptions, credit scores range from 450 to 850. Right. So, that's a big range. And people think that you got to have stellar credit in order to be qualified. But there are mortgage programs out there that are available at as low as 580. So certainly credit's going to play an impact on availability. Access to different programs, things of that nature, rates and things that we'll get into at a later point in this podcast. But you certainly don't need to have quote unquote perfect credit in order to be qualified to buy a home.
Okay. And how would you say that early planning can improve your loan options?
I would say just being prepared. It's always better to stay ready. You don't have to get ready, right? So absolutely. Just understanding the education, understanding the process, aligning yourself with some strong partners in the community who know about the business and having conversations about it. Don't rely on the internet. Come talk to a professional that does it every day.
Right. And what would you say that the difference between being interested in buying and being ready to buy would be? Like somebody that's just getting into thinking about buying it and somebody saying, okay, I'm actually ready to go out and do it.
In my opinion, it would be you're looking at homes on Zillow, you're kind of perusing Redfin or different markets like that, just kind of looking at what's out there that's interested in buying. But being ready to buy, again, is partner with a lender, partner with a real estate agent, partner with some people in that space and kind of get documentations in play and understanding what the actual process looks like. A guy like Eddie's a great contact for that on the lending side.
And just to piggyback on that, it goes back to what you were saying before, being prepared. So, you can think about buying, but if you're ready to buy, that means you've started that preparation process. Right. And you've started taking steps to get ready to buy. Right. So that's the difference. And it's okay to think about buying, but you want to then move that into a place where you are ready to buy.
Absolutely. And something that I've kind of seen people do too is they'll be closer to that 580, but if they really want to try to get those rates down, they'll try to straighten that credit score out a little bit more before they actually hop into the process to pull that rate down for them so that doesn't start to bite them in the end. And I think that can be helpful as well. As far as financial readiness and what lenders look for, what would you say are some key financial factors that lenders look for when someone's coming to buy a home?
Well, the primary things, there's going to be three really. It's going to be your credit score, right? That plays a big factor on what programs and availability and access you've got to different things. We look at your income stability, so you want to make sure that you've been on a job in a similar industry for at least 2 years with documented income, W-2s, tax returns, paycheck stubs, things of that nature, for again at least 2 years. And then the last piece is really that you got some skin in the game, right? We've got some different programs that allow down payment assistance, different organizations like yourself and others that, can provide help in that space. But ultimately, you got to have some skin in the game too, depending on the program that you're with. So want to see some money in the bank. Mattress money is not good money. We got to be able to qualify it.
Right.
Got to be able to trace it. So it needs to be sitting in a bank account or somewhere we can trace it for at least 60 days.
If someone is not quite there and not quite ready, what would you say are some practical tips to improve their financial readiness for a mortgage?
You want to pay down some debt. So that's definitely a key factor. Debt to income is one of the factors too, as well, that we definitely want to address. So I get a lot of people that come to me looking to buy, and they have these huge car payments. A lot of people's car payment is as big as a house payment these days.
Right.
So we definitely want to focus on a plan to start to get some of that debt paid off. And then by doing that, it goes back to point one, building that credit. Those things will help that credit score start to go up too as well, so we can have more options, get them a better rate too as well. So it's taking the steps. Again, it goes back to talking to a professional so they can take those steps to be ready to put them in the best position to buy.
Right.
And really, just to double stamp on that credit piece, as he mentioned, cash is king, right? It's easier to buy things in cash and not have to think about interest rates and payments and things of that nature. But credit is definitely an important factor in the matter, not only for this purchase, which is likely going to be one of the biggest that most people make in their entire life, but for any other purchases down the line, at some point, inevitably, you may have to borrow some money. So getting that credit started strong, again, working with a professional like myself or Eddie on what things you can do to get ready, so you don't have to stay ready, so you don't have to get ready.
Right. So would you say that that's probably one of the biggest things that lenders would kind of wish that first-time buyers knew sooner, to have that credit more correct?
Definitely, because that's a process. I can't say I want to buy a house tomorrow,
right,
and I don't have the credit today.
Absolutely.
So it's steps to it. It takes time. There's a process to it. So you need some time to put yourself in that position. So the earlier that you can start taking those steps, the sooner that you can be prepared to make that purchase. So definitely something to jump on right away.
Okay. All right. That's all great information. I definitely appreciate that. Just moving on to the next topic. I want our viewers to understand the true cost of home ownership and kind of what that looks like. What would be some of the upfront costs of home ownership that they would have to look out for?
Well, what we look at when you're buying a house is going to be depending on the size, how big a house you want. So that's going to determine the purchase price. Is going to play a huge factor in how much house you can afford. Right. So looking at that, the first thing that you need to start saving some money, like you said, cash is king. You need some money in the bank, and we want to see it. The money just can't come poof, from out of nowhere. Right. So we need to see some money, and that's going to factor into your down payment. You can go down payments from anywhere from 3.5% to 5%, depending on what type of loan that we're going to look at. Okay. So you definitely want to have some money for a down payment. Then anytime you do a loan, there's costs associated with it. You got closing costs, you got costs for appraisals, you got costs for what's called your escrows, which would be your taxes and insurance. So all of those things are things that factor into the amount of costs that you need to have. Now, we'll talk later about ways to maybe, avoid or reduce some of those costs. But you want to be saving as much money as you can. So again, it goes back to being prepared early, setting aside some money from every check to try to go ahead and get that money in the savings account so you can be ready to move when it's time to move.
Okay. And what are some of the ongoing costs that you would say, something that's going to be continual after the home purchase that homeowners will kind of have to manage as well?
Yeah, I would say the big things are going to be property taxes and insurance. Naturally, wherever you live, you're going to have a certain percentage of costs that you're going to pay to that county every year to own that home. Your insurance, again, your homeowner's insurance costs, that's covering you in the case of disasters, emergencies, things of that nature, to make sure you're covered and repaired. And lenders will require that you have those, that protection in place while they have an active loan on the property. So those things are built into what's called an escrow account. More times than not, there are loan programs that will allow for you to have those separate, but the escrow is kind of nice because it's built into your payment. So it's out of sight, out of mind, right? You just make your normal monthly payment, and then your lender takes care of taking care of those costs for you. In addition to that, really, it's just saving up money for maintenance, repairs. Once you own the home, it's yours. So when that water heater goes out,
there's no maintenance
right,
man. You can just,
That's right.
ring or
That's right.
no more
you can't call an office and have them send them. Yeah.
landlord or nobody anymore. So that's on you. So
That's right.
saving up money for maintenance and repairs. Utilities are obviously a natural cost. That's you're gonna have that with renting too. But and then the last piece I would really say is if you live in a certain neighborhood, you might have a homeowners association dues or like condominium dues or things like that that are due either monthly or yearly that you'll need to factor into your budget as well.
Okay. All right. So the main point of this whole section is to budget realistically for your long-term success. You want to make sure that you aren't just kind of saving up for the down payment or saving up for that moment, but you want to start a pattern of saving so you can continue to deal with those ongoing costs after your home purchase. Let's see, the home buying process. Let's break it down into steps just to make it a little bit easier for our viewers. What would the step-by-step process of home buying look like?
Again, you're going to want to talk to a professional. So that's where it starts. I mean, you can go in and talk to, I would always recommend, again, those preliminary steps, as we've talked about already, talking to your branch manager and make sure you got your credit on par, making sure you got a savings account opened up and you are budgeting and putting some money away. And once you've done all those things, then it's time to talk to a lender. And what the lender is going to do is take all those things into consideration. They're going to factor that in, and they're going to look to get you basically pre-approved. And what that means for me, what I generally do is I'll have a conversation with them about their income, about their credit score, about how much they are looking to put down. And that will give them a general idea of, how much money they could afford, that they're on the right steps. Right. And once we determine that they're in a good place there, then that's when we would move on to a pre-approval, or I actually will collect documents, 2 years of W-2s, pay stubs, things like your bank statement. So we see just how much you have and just how prepared you are. And those things will give us actual numbers. So we know that you are ready to go and you are ready to go out and buy a house. I got that file on hand that we can refer back to, and that we're going to keep, throughout the process. And that's going to determine exactly, what our ability is to help you get into the home that you're looking to get into.
And I would say at that point too, that's definitely step one. Once you're prepared, work with a lender. You need to understand what you can afford first, right? But once you've got that lender pre-approval in place, and that's when you're going to consult another expert in that space called a realtor. Definitely an important part of that process. A lot of do-it-yourselfers in that space too, but you got to keep in mind there's a lot of paperwork and things that goes on in the back office to make sure you're compliant, right? Make sure that this process is going smooth and you're not being taken advantage of, and that's really the function of a realtor, right? So once you got that pre-approval, next step, you need to go talk to a realtor, and then we start shopping.
And just to understand too, that these days realtors generally won't even talk to you until you have that pre-approval.
1,000%.
So again, it's always steps to it. So you get that pre-approval, you go talk to your realtor, she'll take you out shopping, and hopefully you can find your dream home.
Okay. All right, so once that dream home, we found it. That's the one that I want, talking to your realtor. What's the next step after that process, after actually finding the home?
After you file the home, they're going to give you what's called a purchase contract. Okay. So that contract is going to stipulate all of the necessary legal agreements of buying that house. Okay. So from there, as you'll see all throughout the mortgage process, we may require more documentation that we didn't have up front. Right. There's always going to be a recheck of credit. So I guess this is a good time as any to remind people, don't go out and spend a lot of money. Right. Don't go buy a new car. Don't do things during this process. You want to keep everything status quo during that process. Right. So we're going to collect that paperwork. We're going to submit it to our underwriters. Okay. And the underwriters are basically going to make sure that they see what I saw up front. Okay. And they're going to verify everything, make sure that you are really who you are, make sure you're really working at the job that you said you was working, bringing in the income that you said that you was bringing in. So they're going to verify everything. As long as we can dot all the I's and cross all the T's, again, from that pre-qualification, which is the whole point of getting pre-approved, you should really be in pretty good shape. So as long as you stay in contact and get your lender the items that you need, you should really be able to move pretty smoothly through to closing.
Okay. I know all of that may seem like a lot for buying your first home. Where would you say you see first-time home buyers kind of get overwhelmed in the process? Is there a particular point in the process where you see that a little bit more than?
I mean, the whole process can be cumbersome, right?
Yeah,
it's a big burden to do that, gathering docs, talking to all these different people. But really, I think the way that we avoid the overwhelming feeling for folks is having strong partners, strong experts in that space that really iron out and lay out the process, set the expectation up front so you know what to expect, right? As Eddie mentioned, there's going to be parts, even though we've collected XYZ up front, where now we're going to have to collect ABC midway through the underwriting process, right? But again, a good partner is going to set that tone up front. This is what we need today. There could be future questions that need to be answered, future documents, things of that nature. So although there can be steps along the way that are overwhelming, I think if you have good professionals in your corner that kind of help set the tone from the jump, you're in a good spot, and that'll take some of that burden off when those moments come. Outside of that, I mean, appraisal gaps and things we could really climb into the weeds on, but at the end of the day, sometimes the home you think is the one for you may not actually be that. So just kind of be prepared for that.
And I think the key to any partnership relationship, again, is communication. So sometimes I have clients that I'll reach out to and they're trying to buy a house and I can't get a hold of them, so they have to be reaching out, and you have to follow up, and you have to communicate to make sure that we get what we need in a timely manner. Because generally when you buy a house, there's a time frame. They were looking to get this done in, and that puts pressure on realtors on both sides. You get buyers and sellers. Everybody's looking to get this done. So the better communication that we have, the more that we can move smoothly through this process together, we're going to be in much better shape.
Absolutely. And just for first-time home buyers or home buyers in general, there are resources available. You don't have to necessarily go through that alone. If you feel like you're getting ready or kind of getting there or getting close, and not quite ready to go talk to anybody about it, Community Action of Greater Indianapolis does offer housing counseling, financial education, and budgeting support. We offer first-time home buyer classes, and at certain points throughout the year, we may have some down payment assistance available as well through our individual development account program. I know that Huntington Bank also offers housing counseling, financial education, and budgeting support. The first-time buyer home classes as well, and down payment assistance at times is available as well through Huntington. So reach out. The resources are there. The help is there available to get you going. It is very important to ask questions to trusted individuals like my guys here from Huntington, and you can basically combine these community resources with some of our banking partners and create a full picture for yourself where you're completely ready, where it'll kind of help them with some of the work that they have to do by being prepared before you even come to the bank. So just wanted to tell you guys about the resources available so you don't feel like you're alone within that process. All right.
And if you don't mind, just to touch on what you were just saying too as well, I have had the pleasure to actually do some home buyer education here at CAGI. It's been a great experience. Work with those clients too as well. So we do that. We definitely do that at Huntington. I'm always willing to, if you're not even nowhere close ready to buy, I'm still always willing to have that conversation to help guiding you. And as you mentioned, we do have down payment assistance. So just to touch on that a little bit, you don't also always necessarily need a whole bunch of money in the bank to buy a house. I always recommend savings, but we do have options where clients can get into the house too as well with using the down payment since it's sometimes up to as much as 5%.
Okay.
So we do have ways to help customers get into those houses, and again, it always goes back to talking to professional, and we're definitely here to help.
Absolutely.
And I double click on that too. Use your resources. You can't believe everything you read on the internet, for sure, right? So talk to trusted professionals in your community that you work with. You can see, touch, and feel. And there's no stupid questions. There's no stupid questions with something that's important. So if you don't know, you don't know. Ask somebody who does. We'll be glad to help.
That's right.
What would you say some of the common mistakes and myths about home buying would be?
In my opinion, people thinking they're not ready when they might be, something that I always tell people, and I was in mortgage for 4 years before I came to Huntington as well. So I did a lot of what Eddie was doing with a different bank at the time. But, one thing that I always used to tell people is there's never a bad time to start building equity in yourself. Right?
Right, absolutely.
You got to have a place to live. And if you're renting from somebody else, you're building equity in them. So, there are some ways, as we talked about, different avenues, different partnerships, different assistance programs, different resources to help get you ready. And a lot of people end up being a lot closer than they think they are. So even if you think you may not be ready, if that's the dream, and you want to really start investing in yourself, I think it's a good time to start talking to somebody about that.
I think that's a really good one because when I purchased my first home, I didn't think I was there. And I ended up getting all my resources together, and they said, "You're ready to go." So yeah, that was definitely a shock to me at the time. But everything went through, and everything went through smooth. So
yeah, just to double click on what Joe said, you don't have to have $1 million in the bank. So the sooner you can take those steps, because we see what people are paying for rent these days, and I think that's an important point. People are paying $1,500 to $2,000 a month for rent.
Yeah.
And you never get that money. It's like you're taking that money, you're just throwing it out the window, and it's in the wind.
Yeah.
And the importance of home ownership is now you're building wealth that you can maintain well into your retirement. You can leave it to your kids, you can build legacy. So much goes along with home ownership. So again, the biggest myth is people think that they can't do it. They think you need $1 million to buy a house, and you don't.
And the truth about that, just to lastly double click on something, if you can afford rent, you can afford a mortgage.
That's right.
All right. Any piece of final advice or encouragement to our listeners that you guys would like to give?
Yeah, from my seat, I would just say, hey, again, just kind of double clicking on that. There's never a bad time to start building equity in yourself. So that investment is important. It's generational. It can be passed down. It's an asset that typically doesn't depreciate like other things, cars, things of that nature that we spend money on. So if you don't think you're ready, maybe if you're kind of on the fence, let's talk to a professional, talk to myself, talk to Eddie, talk to people here at CAGI. Let's see what we can do to get you right.
Right, and I agree totally. My advice would be to get advice, whether it's talking to somebody like you who have bought a house already,
Right.
or somebody in the bank or a lender, or anybody who maybe has gone through that process.
Right.
Talk with them, then come in and talk with a lender. The advice would be to get advice, and then don't wait, because every day that you wait, you're paying somebody else's rent. So go ahead and start taking steps today to go ahead and give yourself that opportunity to buy a home.
Okay. Well, I certainly thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and talking with me today. We ran through a lot of different keys and tips, and I really hope you were able to take a lot away from that. Let's run through some of the key takeaways from this podcast. One would be home ownership starts long before you find a house. You don't need to have perfect credit to become a homeowner. Financial readiness creates confidence. Another one would be the mortgage payment is only part of the cost. You have to remember those ongoing costs that you'll have after home ownership. Being house poor is avoidable, meaning don't apply for the absolute max that you can qualify for. You have to leave yourself some room just so you're not struggling to keep going with those ongoing costs once you have that mortgage payment every month. A big one that we kind of hit here over and again: knowledge reduces fear. Go and take advantage of the resources that you have available. Go ask questions. Like Joe said, no question is stupid. and just soak it all in so you have the most knowledge possible before you start your process. Don't wait to ask questions, like Eddie said earlier. Don't wait to ask those questions. The longer you wait, the more you could possibly get a wrong answer or just something that is not going to benefit you. Just go to the sources, go to those resources, and get the right information. Like Joe was saying earlier, everything you see on the internet is not the right answer. So I want you all to remember that home ownership is a journey, it is not a race. And the best time to start preparing is today. So once again, I thank you guys. Huntington Bank, Mr. Eddie Hall, Mr. Joe, I appreciate you guys for coming in today and talking with me. And we'll see you next time on the CAGI Heartbeat Podcast. Remember, to learn more about our partners at Huntington Bank and their services and programs, you can visit their website, www.huntington.com. And to learn more about community action and our services and programs, you can visit CAGI-in.org. And as always, we'd like to continue our discussions at CAGIHeartbeatPodcast@gmail.com. And feel free at any time to reach out to Community Action for support and finding resources and maintaining your momentum. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back.